Welcome everybody to Chauvin PE Coaching and Training. This episode is going to be talking about the MTEL, which stands for the Massachusetts Test for Education Licensure. There's other tests in other states that are pretty similar, so this would probably apply to that as well. Massachusetts just has their own version. I know a lot of other states use the Praxis, which is just another test a lot of states use. So if you've taken this test, what do you think are the hardest parts? If you're studying for it, maybe you'll get some good information out of this video. But basically, it's just a test that you have to pass in order to get licensed to teach in Massachusetts. For me, I'm taking the physical education one. I already passed the communication and literacy one. So this test, you have a 4-hour time limit. Consists of 100 multiple choice questions. Sometimes they try to be tricky when they ask you the questions, so you have to really pay attention to the wording. Sometimes you can use like process of elimination, and that's pretty helpful when you're doing the multiple choice. But if you know the knowledge for the subject area, it's usually not too hard. There's also 2 open response questions, which require a lot of writing, but you don't have to put like excessive amounts of writing just to make it look longer. They're basically just looking to know and see that you know what you're talking about. I've taken this test for the Phys Ed twice, so it's pretty tough. I just barely failed the last one. I got a 340 out of 400. You need 400 to pass. I mean, you need a 340 to pass out of 400, and I got a 321, so I was right there. But I just missed it. I took it the first time, and I had a gap from exercise science to phys ed that I didn't have filled, so there was some terminology I didn't know. Um, Things like manipulative skills, that's not really something that you learn in phys ed, in exercise science, but something that you do learn in phys ed. Once I understood what the term was, it made sense, and I was like, oh, I should have just known that, but it's just not something that typically you learn in a standard exercise science, kinesiology kind of degree. Uh, I used a study guide right here. The second time I took it, I used this because I didn't want to fail again. So this is the physical education exam secret study guide by Monometrics. I thought it helped me. It's a pretty good book, but it just kind of summarizes stuff briefly. It goes over test taking strategies. It goes over a lot of the different things that you'll need. It does cover some of the physiology. It goes over the different sports. Overall, it was a pretty good study guide. I think when I took the test the second time, I felt like I knew everything a lot better and everything made more sense. And I think I kind of went in overconfident. The first time I took it, I didn't know as much of the content, and I took almost up till the complete 4th hour to make sure everything was correct. The second time I had like an hour, I think, and I just felt confident that I was all set and I didn't review stuff. And I just failed. So I got 321, need a 340. So this is going to be my last time I'm going to take it. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to make sure I take all the time I need to correct everything. And hopefully I will be a licensed phys ed teacher this upcoming summer. Of course, I still got to finish my program at Westfield and do the student teaching to be uh, eligible to teach, but everything seems to be going pretty well. I took a nice prep course at the Mayford Convention, which is a Massachusetts physical education convention that they have every year. This year was on Zoom. It was a lot of fun. It was a good learning experience. I was pretty much in Zoom meetings all day. There was like I took four courses. So one was about teaching phys ed remotely, so on Zoom like this, which it's good to know in case anything like this ever happens again, or if you do decide to do like working online. Uh, so it's kind of interesting to see how teachers were adding that into their course work. And um, the second one I took was what was the second one I took? It might have been the field hockey one. I took a field hockey one, which is cool. It was the USA field hockey team, and they just kind of presented how you can incorporate field hockey into phys ed units, which I thought was cool because I like hockey and I could see myself teaching hockey, whether it's floor hockey, field hockey. I just think it's a great sport. I also took one which was pretty interesting, which was basically how to use movement screening inside of a phys ed classroom, which is pretty cool because it kind of crosses both worlds that I'm in with fitness. Seeing the Grey Cook functional movement screen inside a phys ed classroom was pretty cool, and she kind of went over how you can adapt it in to your classroom basically, which is pretty cool. And yeah, the MTEL prep one, that was the one I was thinking of, which I should have known. The MTEL prep one was really, really neat. They discussed basically what the test consists of, how to prepare for it. We did some practice questions. I answered all of them correctly, so I feel pretty confident about the test this time around. I'm gonna make sure I take every last minute, even if I feel good about it. But yeah, overall, I think I'm ready. I'm just gonna plan for it for this summer and give it my all. Take every last minute. Make sure I pass it this time. I'm sick of spending the money and just missing it. It's a tough test. I'm not gonna lie, but if you know the area, a big part of my problem was having the gap between exercise science degree and a physical education degree. But after being in phys ed now for a few months and using that study guide, I think I've kind of bridged that gap a little bit, and I should be all set going into it this time around. But uh, basically, this test you would have to take for any subject area. I'm just taking the phys ed one, so even if you're not taking phys ed, you probably understand what I'm talking about. It's a pretty tough test. If you're becoming a history teacher, you have to take the history one. If you're becoming an English teacher, you have to take the English one. It's not an easy test. There's a lot of multiple choice questions. They try to trick you. The open response can be tough. They want to really see like what knowledge you have. Sometimes you have to dig deep and find exactly what kind of answer they're looking for. But yeah, this summer I'm hopefully going to take it, and I'm hopefully going to get some PDPs so I can get into the master's program when I'm done. I'm hoping I can work coaching kids and get some clinical and professional PDPs. Hopefully, some opportunities for social justice PDPs come up. It's required for me to get into the master's program. I have to have four from four different categories. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at those, get this MTEL done, and I'm hoping I can sign up for some courses at Worcester State, which is a little closer to me than Westfield, if they have the multicultural education course. And hopefully I can find some activity courses close by as well. And if I can get those done over the summer, I'll be able to finish one semester early, which will be cool. Otherwise, I'll have to do an extra semester to take those. But this is just a little talk about the MTEL. Hopefully, you learned a little bit about what the test is like. This has been my experience with it. It's tough. Don't overestimate it. If you have an exercise science background or anything other than physical education, and you're trying to become a phys ed teacher, make sure you try to bridge that gap in your knowledge, because you do learn a lot of what you need, but you don't have everything that you need. So bridge that gap in your education. That study guide that I mentioned can be helpful. And really, the second time, I think my downfall, I should have passed it. I was overconfident and I left like 45 to 60 minutes on the table that I could have corrected stuff with and made my test even better. And I might have gotten those few extra points that I failed by. So take the time, study, bridge the gap if you're coming from a different program into phys ed. There's a lot of good resources out there. That study guide's just one. If you just type in MTEL or practice or whatever exam you're taking onto Google, you can find some good stuff from the official like websites that administer the test. And there's also third-party companies that make stuff as well. So really, that's about it for what I want to talk about the MTEL. But it's a tough test. Don't overestimate it or underestimate it. Take your time with it. Make sure you study and know what you're doing when you go into it. It's not cheap. Each time I took it, I think I paid $140, and so that's a waste of $280 for failing it, and now I got to pay it again. So it's a learning experience, but now I have the knowledge. I know to take every last minute, and this third time is going to be a charm. So thank you for watching today, and I want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters. So if you like PE content, you like coaching content, you like training content, I even started a little side series for fun because I like hockey a lot. So talking hockey, I'm going to be presenting different material like this related to like the MTEL was just one topic area related to PE. I have other ones about assessments and training, setting goals in training. I've done a few talking hockey episodes where we cover the divisions for the hockey season. If you like any of this content and you want to follow along, feel free to check out my YouTube channel and my Patreon and show additional support. Those links will be on the Facebook page right here. So most of what you'll see is going to be at facebook.com/chauvin-pe-coaching-training. And if you like this video, thank you very much. And if you could like, share, subscribe, that'd be great. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.